So finally, Black Panther Wakanda Forever has dropped. I've been anticipating this movie since it was announced, and it still feels unreal that Chadwick Boseman was gone, because I was looking forward to seeing him reprise his role and do his magical thing and give us a wonderful performance as always. And there's a reason why people are calling this a funeral movie, part of a list of movies and TV shows in phase 4 that is just about grief, loss and pain. Anyway, I'm here to give you some top moments in this movie, 8 to be exact, so let's just dive in. At number 8, we have the post-credit scene. This was the continuation of the ending scene where she did the ritual that her mother wanted her to do before she was ready to accept and deal with the loss of her brother and now her mother, of course. And then we get this surprise. This is one of the things that people have been theorizing for a while now. T'Challa has a son somewhere, and this movie practically brings that to light. T'Challa had a son with Nakia, and then he sent them away to live a different life, away from the pressure of being a prince of the king, how other factions may also use his son against him, against Wakanda, but also to see and experience the outside world. And I think it was a fitting tribute. T'Challa lives on in this kid, even though people are saying recast T'Challa every day on Twitter. I don't know what you think about that, but this kid may potentially join the Young Avengers, which they've been setting up heavily, especially in this phase 4. At number 7, we have the ancestral plane scene. Shuri going to the ancestral plane and most of all meeting Killmonger there. People have been wanting Killmonger to return to become the next Black Panther. And even though he's dead, of course there's the multiverse. If they want to bring him back, trust me, they will figure out a way to do that. So this scene occurs when Shuri takes the herb, the tradition in imbuing the person with power, the ritual before they become the Black Panther, and they transition into the ancestral plane to meet whoever, all their loved ones and their ancestors. In this case, she meets Killmonger, someone unexpected, since she expected to meet her brother, her mother, her father, all three of them together, perhaps because of her anger, her need for vengeance after her mother is killed. She meets someone of similar thoughts, and it makes sense for the story, since Killmonger was all about vengeance, was all about retribution, was all about getting shit done, and mercy was not in his vocabulary. I mean, Killmonger showing up, it was cool to see him. He gave a wonderful performance, and we don't know whether this is going to be the last of him in the MCU. Anything is possible, as I said, because the multiverse is opened. At number 6, we have Namor versus Shuri, the new Black Panther. This fight scene, I don't think when you count some of the top 10 fight scenes, I would necessarily count it in, but it was a pretty decent fight. The choreography was cool, how they shot it. So this whole scene comes about when Wakanda decides to take the battle, to take the fight to Talokan, to Namor's people, to Namor himself. And this is after Shuri and Reeve had figured out his weakness and pretty much weakened him in this state. They got him into the ship and they got him onto this island, and that is when the fight begins and Shuri plans her revenge. As I said, the fight scene was decent. Some of the moves were cool. There were some shocking parts, such as Shuri getting stabbed, Namor's wing ripped off, and when it was time for Shuri to take this guy out, she couldn't. How could she? Even though he practically killed her mother. But he was a lover of his people. Everything that he did for his people. There were similarities between Wakanda and the Talokans, and how the scene was shot showed us all that they all love their people, they want the best for them. But at the end of the day, it's not themselves that they should be fighting, but the outside world who want to control them, take over them, their resources, their tech, vibranium to be specific, and how both mothers on both parties was used to drive the scene and the emotions of these two people. I think it made the scene much more captivating. Now, Namor giving Shuri the biggest rock bottom in history was something I didn't see coming for their fight. At number 5, we have meeting Riri Williams and Okoye and Shuri rescuing her. Not so much of a rescue there, as they both helped each other out and she clearly held their own. So we are introduced to this new character, Riri Williams, who's going to be Ironheart, have her own show on Disney Plus, I think next year. And just straight away, you know this girl is a genius. She's absolutely brilliant and someone who would have made a fantastic companion to Tony Stark. Imagine if he was still in the MCU. And imagine if he would have been in the Ironheart show, since they are both linked together heavily in the comics, and he's one of the driving force for her own story. So Riri Williams, the girl who built the vibranium detector, Shuri and Okoye are there to bring it to Wakanda, also partly because Namor requested it. But as they found out that this person is not just a woman, a grown-up, should I say, but a young girl, and she doesn't even know that her invention even worked. So the feds are there to take them in, and then we are thrust into this crazy chase scene. We finally get to see Riri Williams and Mark 1 armor, her suit, and it was just a cool scene overall, especially when it came to the bridge fight between Okoye and this general against the Talokan and against this guy. Wow, it was just a short and cool fight scene. The choreography was on point, and it was just overall, the whole scene on that bridge was just intense and moving. At number 4, we have the Wakandas versus the Talokans. This was at the end fight scene when Shuri had devised a plan to take the fight to the Talokans, to lure them in onto the ocean, onto their ship, and decide things there, but also capturing Namor as Shuri was on a revenge ride. Not gonna lie, this was a spectacular scene. The whole fight between these two races, different but similar and alike at the same time. They are both connected by vibranium. They both want the best for their people. Even though the Talokan have not been discovered by the outside world, if they did, they will also be scrutinized and preyed upon for their vibranium under the sea and other things that may be found with their people. The fight sequence was intense. This battle, I imagine if it was R-rated, there will be blood everywhere considering the damage and the destruction that was going on there. We saw the first time that Shuri actually fought, as she's much smaller, she's faster, much more agile. We got to see the use of the Midnight Angel that Shuri was working on, fully operational now, and very cool concept and taken from the comics, of course. And Okoye got a payback. And we can't talk about this scene without talking about Riri Williams. She upgraded her suit and it looked amazing. At number 3, we have Queen Ramonda's death. I just had a feeling this was probably gonna happen when I was breaking down the trailer when it first dropped. That whole scene of Namor thrusting his spear and throwing the explosive balls. Feels weird to say that. And being the queen that she is, she decides to save Riri at the cost of her own life. But it was just, oh my god. I can confidently say that Angela Bassett's performance was the best in this movie. She's a phenomenal actress, and it was no doubt, of course. And even though in the wider MCU, she's not of that much importance as we've seen throughout, she also has her importance when it comes to her circle and her people. Shuri is now an orphan. There's a heartbreaking scene, something that most of us knew it was not gonna happen. But some of us also thought that it was also a possibility that this conflict will lead to tragedy and one important and very sad casualty. Now at the second spot, we have Namor's attack on Wakanda. This was one of the highlights in the entire movie. Namor's vicious attack on Wakanda. Something that he did out of, should I say, revenge, or should I say payback, or should I say the I told you type of situation, since he warned Shuri and warned Queen Ramonda before that this will be the consequences of going against him and the whole Talokan. Of course, these consequences, or this came about after Shuri was rescued by Nakia, and in so doing she shot one of the people and she died. At this point, it was just at the end of the straw for Namor, as he had already told them to pick a side. And for someone like Namor who cherished his people, this was just war on, and it was just brutal in a different sense, and mostly intense and scary, as the Wakandas had no idea what was going on. And this was also the first time we got to see the full strength, the full might and power of Namor as he flew through the air so majestically and so cool looking, might I add, and he was just destroying ships left and right. And of course, this was the scene that led to the tragedy in Ramonda's passing. Now at number 1, we have T'Challa's funeral scene, the opening scene that just built up and led us to T'Challa's passing and the whole funeral. This was always going to be my number 1 pick for the top moment in this movie. Like, it was just sad in a whole different level, especially when you know that the actor is gone as well. It's not just about story purposes. Chadwick Boseman is truly gone, and it just hurts on a different level, especially to me, someone who lost his father. I don't want to go deep dive into what happened, but essentially he went through some of the things that Chadwick went through, and it was just sudden, or I never expected it to happen. And that's how I feel when I think about Chadwick Boseman. Like, god damn, sadly he's gone, and then what do we have left? Only the memories to cherish, only the memories to hold on to keep the person alive. In as much as it was a funeral, it was also a celebration of life, as at least we got to meet and we got to see this wonderful human being, Chadwick Boseman, but in this case, in this movie, T'Challa. Now that's it for the list. These are some of the top 8 moments in this movie. So I said, one of the movies added to the list of the grieving phase 4. The phase 4 where it's all about tragedy, pain, and maybe acceptance and moving on as well. I think the first movie is still the best, and I think this movie tried its best. Ryan Coogler gave the best they could to write a sequel with that Chadwick, especially when Chadwick was the vocal point, was the main ingredient in that first script. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this movie, these whole scenes and these moments that I talk about. What are your top moments in this movie? And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on that post notification bell not to miss any other video. As always, Nude here. See you guys in the next one.